The Sword Shield, a well-balanced weapon of offensive and defensive capabilities. The true master of item usage in the series we love called Monster Hunter. The weapon that slowly has had many things added to it over time, be it improvements to the shield combat or the ability to swing your blade in a ferocious flurry. It has continuously impressed Sword Shield users game after game, and in the most recent entries I'm sure converted many Sword Shield haters into believers. But there's one game in the series that added an aspect to the weapon that evolved the thought process of play, and that's Generations with oils. Wait, nah, not baby oil, weapon oils that is. Now these were a fantastic factor in Generations, which they did attempt to replicate when it came to Sunbreak. Sadly, not to the same degree. So, what made oils so great in the game? Well, let's talk about it. Oils were items in the game you'd be able to bring with you and apply to your sword shield, applying different effects for a period of time, ranging from increasing affinity to giving you the ability to never bounce off a monster. We'll go into details about these in a bit. Applying them gave a similar animation to sharpening your weapon, with a bit more flair at the end of the polishing. And once you finished applying the oil, your blade would glow in the colour of the respective oil. Now, in Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate, there are 4 different oils, which you can only have one active at a given time. Applying a second oil would override your initial oil, but they're all quite powerful in their own right, so it made sense. Now, like I just said, there are 4 different oils in the game. Not all unlockable at the start of the game, but with progress, you'll have access to them all eventually. Let's start with the Affinity Oil, which would increase the sword shield's affinity by 30%. Now that was huge. 30% affinity equates to crit I3, a whole 3rd tier skill. The ability to free up a whole skill led SNS users to switch up how they go about build crafting altogether. Stacking crit I3 on top of that, and also crit chain, which by the way, name and functionality has now changed into the burst skill. Having all that would lead to 90% crit when attacking in combat with a weapon with no crit to start with. Now that's pretty cool. Next, we have the Stamina Oil. Now this one is a personal favorite of mine. As the name suggests, applying this one gave you the ability to apply exhaust damage on each one of your hits. What is exhaust damage, you may ask? Well, exhaust damage is mainly applied by blunt weapons, or rather weapons that deal impact damage and not cutting damage. So hammer and hunting horn mostly. When hitting the head, they apply KO damage, which works like a status. When the threshold has been reached, the monster will get knocked out. When hitting the body, however, exhaust damage is applied. Each move the monster makes builds exhaust, and once the threshold is met, they get tired. Hitting the monster with exhaust damage helps reach the threshold faster, which is pretty neat. So, coming back to Sword Shield, this oil gave them the power to exhaust monsters faster. As we said before, weapons that deal exhaust damage to the body deal KO damage to the head. So with the Stamina Oil, you were able to KO a monster on the head with all of your attacks, even the regular ones. Like bro, this was wicked sick. Getting a KO on a monster by just using your sword was so much fun. Fighting the monster head on to knock its lights out before it knocks yours. Damn, I love this oil. I had so many cool moments KOing monsters in this game, with and without the oil. Alright, next, Destroyer Oil. Much more simple. It increases your ability to break monster parts. And back in my day, the skill Part Breaker was called Destroyer. Damn, some of the old skill names sounded so cool. Anyway, another oil to replace a skill. It also had a hidden addition to it that I don't think many people realized, making it easier to knock down monsters on their ass. In team-based situations or alone, this can help out wonders to get a free window to beat down on a monster. Lastly, the Mind's Eye Oil, giving you the ability of Mind's Eye, so now you won't be deflected when attacking a monster's hard spots. Useful against hard monsters like Gravios, Bizarios, or even Agnactor when its lava has hardened, but it does have a second nature to it, which we'll talk about in a bit. So yeah, that's all of the oils, all interesting and unique in their own right, and changing which oil you apply to fit the situation made for an interesting dynamic, and gave the Sword Shield a new type of tactical way of playing we haven't seen before or since in any other weapon. But that's not it when it comes to oils. There was one last part of oils which was kinda busted, and that is the Chaos Oil. a hunter art available in the ultimate edition of the game, and holy crap, it was crazy good. Charging you forward into battle, striking right in front of you, applying every single oil at the same time, like holy moly, that's crazy. Honestly, it kind of felt like a cheat when you think about it, being able to apply 4 different great effects at the same time. The art gauge, however, was large, meaning it took quite a while to build up to be used, but it also lasts for a decent amount of time, giving you plenty of time to make use of the effect. Like seriously, I love this art. 2 last cool things. While you had Chaos Oil activated, any other oil you applied would be applied in one stroke. Now, that fact on its own isn't that useful, but when it comes to the Mind's Eye oil, it was pretty cool, as Mind's Eye got a second effect when Chaos Oil was active. It would sharpen your weapon in one quick stroke, allowing you to get right back into combat. Speed sharpening on demand, you gotta love it. In Monster Hunter Generations, each art has 3 different levels to it. And the thing about the Chaos Oil art is at level 1, instead of having 30 affinity, it would actually only give you 15. And then when you go up to level 2, the duration of the skill actually lasts longer. And in level 3, that's when you get the 30 affinity and the duration at its maximum, which is pretty cool. So when it comes to applying oils while you have Chaos Oil active, I'm not too sure if there's really a point. When it comes to Mind's Eye, as we've already said, there's a point there. But when it comes to Affinity, there's only a point on level 1 and 2. At level 3, there's no usage. And for the other 2 oils, there's nothing I know about currently that changes applying it while you already have Chaos Oil on. But if anyone watching this video knows anything more about this, let me know down in the comments of this video. I would love to read more about Chaos Oil. And also let me know what you think about Chaos Oil, Sword Shield and oils overall. I would love to read your comments. Also like, subscribe, support your boy over here. Anyway, let's get back on track. Now when it comes to the level 3 art, it was super powerful. But there was one dreaded quest in the game you needed to complete to unlock the final level. A quest I for sure don't want to have to do again. Hyper Golden Rathian and Hyper Silver Rathalos. Definitely a quest from hell, not one to be taken lightly, trust me. I have plenty of bad memories. So, we've pretty much gone over oils in its entirety. So what happened to them? Well, they haven't really returned in any of the games since. Like I mentioned before, in Sunbreak, they did add the Destroyer Oil as a wire bug skill, which was pretty cool, but it was only the one, not allowing us to have the options that we used to have. Why only one is definitely a good question, probably answered by the fact that it was tied to the art system, and they would need to add 4 different art options to the SNS to match generations, which I don't think they were gonna do, since they were trying to give every single weapon the same amount of arts. A more interesting question is why Destroy Oil? Honestly, I have no idea. Affinity is kinda seen as a staple of the oils in Generations, so that being the one they brought over would have made more sense. Maybe they saw the other options being too strong and opted for the Destroy Oil instead. But honestly, I have no idea. If you guys have any answers to the question of why Destroy Oil, let me know down below, because I'm honestly curious. I have no idea. So yeah, apart from that game, we haven't really seen them again, which is unfortunate. I mean, I have never seen a person dislike oils. Many seem to love the mechanic and also agree it made Sword Shield stand out in that game, giving it a bit of something extra to highlight it as the master of items. But before we wrap up, I have some ideas of new ones they could make if they ever bring the system back. We could have an oil which, instead of coating your sword, coats your shield, increasing your guarding capabilities and maybe even giving you guard up. So if you wanted to go for a more defensive sword shield strategy for a moment in time, this would be your option. Maybe you're low in health, or maybe you're low in feints and you want to stay alive and make sure you get through the quest. Another option is an oil to increase your elemental values, or even applying a status effect on top of your current weapon's status or element. Now that would be pretty damn interesting to play with, as Sword Shield is already known as a weapon to apply heavy elemental and status effects. Being able to apply 2 at once of either status or element could be really interesting and add to a nice dynamic of support or just straight damage. Now when it comes to the extra status effects on top of your weapon, this oil probably wouldn't last that long, because I could imagine it would get pretty damn broken. Oh man, getting me excited just thinking about it. I do love the idea of more weapons getting extra mechanics to add into how they play, and in this case interacting with weapons themselves. It makes things hella interesting. So wrapping up, will oils ever come back? We can only hope. They made Sword Shield so much fun in Generations. They were a great addition to the weapon. I don't think we're going to see them in WoW's Ultimate, but hopefully in the next portable game. But for that one, we're going to have to wait and see. Alright guys, that's it from me. Let me know down below what you think of oils, and can you think of any new ones you'd like to see added into Monster Hunter? Like, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next time. See ya.